Marxists, communists, socialists. Who are they? And why are they so scary? I'm George Hobbs, and all my life I've been taught to fear these people. I want to know why. 5 years after Charles Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol, Friedrich Engels and Karl Marx released the Communist Manifesto. Both books were inspired by and answers to the poverty and power imbalance caused by unregulated capitalism. They presented a theory: keep putting profits over people, and the people will eventually revolt and seize the means of production. Let's define some terms. Capital is whatever you have that you can make money with. If you're like me, that's your back and brains and hands. Or you may have money, or a house, or land, which you can use to borrow money. And you can use that to start a business. In this system, the people with the capital own the means of production. Everyone else is a worker. As a worker, what are you worth? According to your boss, an hour of your life is worth X. Marx came in and said, oh no, you're worth X plus Y. Y being the amount of profit your boss is making off of your labor. So if you've ever thought that you deserve to get paid more, you agree with Marx. So far, not too crazy, right? Well, they had a slogan too. Workers of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains. Now in America, where we still had people in chains, this message met with resistance, to say the least. 12 years later, while running for president, Lincoln said, I am glad to know that there is a system of labor where the laborer can strike if he wants to. 4 years after that, he called off federal troops that were brought in to break a printer's strike, declaring government should not interfere with the demands of labor. When he issued the Emancipation Proclamation, Marx wrote, this plebeian, who worked his way up from stonebreaker to senator, was placed at the top by the interplay of the forces of universal suffrage. The New World has never achieved a greater triumph than by this demonstration that, given its political and social organization, ordinary people of goodwill can accomplish feats which only heroes could accomplish in the old world. In 1877, railroad workers took over the trains and stations. Governors in 10 states mobilized 45,000 militia and federal troops. Nearly 100 Americans died. The strike galvanized the country. It convinced workers of the need for unions, persuaded businesses of the need for even greater political influence and government aid, and foreshadowed 50 years of labor conflict. That's the closest we've come to seeing communism here in the United States. Lasted 40 days and was stopped by bullets. Let's move on to the Great Depression. After the Depression, people lost faith in capitalism. Factories closed, workers struggled to feed their families, and they started looking for another system. Those workers of the world, they finally united, and communism came into fashion. You can do all kinds of horrible things if you say you're fighting communists. It's how Hitler rose to power, and Mussolini, and Franco. It's why we went to Vietnam. 1.3 million Vietnamese were killed, 58,000 Americans died, and 300,000 came back wounded, often broken. And why? Because, we were told, if Vietnam went communist, then all its neighbors would. So we tried to stop them from governing themselves. We did that in a lot of places. Why are communists so bad? Well, as Lenin said, ask yourself, who stands to gain? If the workers start to realize what they're worth, as productivity increases and wages stagnate, what's to keep them from breaking out the pitchforks and taking over the factory? And that's where the socialists come in. Now, you can find 100 definitions for socialists, so here's mine. They try to keep workers in a capitalist system from turning into communists or anarchists. Socialists turn pitchforks into picket signs. They say pay people enough, give them days off and health care, then whatever it takes to keep them from storming the castle. And Franklin Roosevelt is widely credited with saving capitalism in America. He was also derided as being a socialist. He started Social Security for retirees and protected unions and striking workers with the National Labor Relations Board. After hundreds of workers were killed and beaten, we finally got the right to form labor unions. Unions are where weekends and overtime pay come from. They give workers the ability to bargain for good wages and health insurance, pensions, and cost of living increases. And since it's your boss's job to pay you as little as possible, they're necessary for a healthy economy. I'm a union worker, so I'm on the lucky part of the capitalism spectrum. but I'm in the minority. Someday, hopefully, I'll sell enough art to become a capitalist. Russia and China tried communism, and both countries found that it fails for the same reason that capitalism succeeds: greed. They try to ignore it, we use it for fuel. But that's no way to run a country. When you hear the words Marxists and communists and socialists, just remember that it's really easy to make a living scaring people. So maybe that's what they're trying to do. Ask them if they want you to get a pay raise and benefits. They might be the one you want to watch out for. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments if we should be afraid of Marxists. What you want to talk about next. Shout out to Politics Girl and Ryan Chapman, Crash Course and Wisecrack. They have excellent videos about this, and I'll leave links to them in the description. Please like and subscribe, and remember what Roosevelt said: we have nothing to fear but fear itself. I'm George Hobbs. We'll see you next time.